What's happening? Hey.
Mike, Joe Davidson, Sacramento. Are you allowed to go home and disconnect? Is this series on your mind constantly? Do you talk to your partner about it? Does she ask you, how's the errand or anything? Or are you able to distance that?
Yeah, no, for sure. I got a couple of Harleys, and I jumped on my bike and had a nice ride maybe 2 days ago. I think I even rode it into our coaches meeting. So Ro was real good at that. She knows how to get me to think about something other than this, and same with my Harley. But Ro, I like you better than the Harley. So that was a good trick question.
Hi, Mike. Kirsten with Fox 40 Sports. Earlier today, Kevin Herter talked about how multiple guys have stepped up in this playoff series, and you guys have found different ways to win. What have you learned about your team specifically in this playoff match against Golden State?
That they're competitive and they're resilient. I agree. We just find a way. It's not about this guy or that guy that have gone deep in the playoffs and has been an all-star his whole career and yada yada. We need different guys to step up at different times, and he hit it right on the head. We have, so that to me that means we're resilient. And these guys aren't laying over for their champions, and they're swinging haymakers at us. And we've been down and we fought back. We've been up. They came back, and all those instances could have broken our competitive spirit. And they just keep fighting no matter what. And you're proud of them for that, and you see a lot of growth when that happens.
Mike, James Ham, ESPN 1320. When you watch De'Aaron tonight, what are you looking for to show you whether he's okay or whether he's not? Is there something that you think you'll be able to spot from the sidelines if this thing is going to work or if it's not?
No, he's been our guy. He's done a fantastic job in these playoffs so far. I told him, I said, you've done a lot for us, but I'm gonna keep asking for more because that's what you get paid for. And there's nothing that I'm gonna look for. He's gonna try to go tonight, and if he can go, great. If he can't, then the next guy has to be ready to step up. But I want him to go out there and play his game, be aggressive. I've never told him when to shoot, when not to shoot. I've always told him to be aggressive, trying to make a play for himself or his teammates whenever he feels ready, and he's done a fantastic job of that so far.
Mike, have you spent a lot of time or talked about it all, how your team was able to respond to that Klay Thompson 3 at the end of the third quarter in Game 4 and the 7-0 start to the fourth quarter when you need to have it, especially with Fox on the bench? Do you focus on things and hang your hats on moments like that, or do you expect that from this group even in their first playoff series?
No. There were moments during the game, obviously, where we played at a level that we were capable of, and then there are moments when we didn't. And in the third quarter, we didn't play the way we were capable of. Letting them get 9 free throw attempts, 8 second chance points in one quarter alone. That was a big quarter for us because we won every other quarter. And then in the fourth, we were doing it a lot of the games, but you can't gap Klay, you can't gap Steph, and so we've focused on, hey guys, if we can lock in for 48, we're going to make some mistakes, but we made way too many mistakes in the fourth quarter on their floor against the champions. The game's right there for us, and I'm sure they feel the same way, but to be confident, to have that belief going in, you point out those, in my opinion, the little things as well as the things that you did well, because you say, see, when we do this is what happens, and you hang your hat on that overall, not just the one specific area, because at the end of the day, I tell our guys, they're good. They're going to go on runs, and they may be up double digits. We just got to stay with it without getting discouraged.
Mike, your offense was so good throughout the season. A lot of that built on three-point shooting. You guys are at just a little over 30% through 4 games. I just wonder, is there concern about that? Is there confidence that comes from knowing that maybe there's a law of averages stuff at work here, and maybe those shots start to fall the longer the series goes?
No, Luke Laux and Robbie Lemons, they're are on my staff. They're obviously good at what they do, and what they do is above my head. But they told me an analytic stat that we're generating the most open threes on a per-game basis in the playoffs. And that's great to hear because we're going against the NBA champions that know what it takes to win at this level. And so if we're doing that, we want to continue doing that and continue letting it fly. Now, one of the things I've always cautioned everybody is we don't have a lot of guys that have been in key positions and have advanced in that's been in the playoffs, but especially advanced past the first round and been a big-time contributor to that advancement. And that in itself takes a lot out of you from the standpoint that we're not going to get the same shots as we get in the regular season. So they're taking away certain things to try to mess with your rhythm. And if you're not used to that, it can cause problems. On top of that, during the regular season, you demand the guys to play physical. You demand them to play, hard defensively and all that. But once they get in a playoff series and they realize how hard the other team's playing, especially, they know that they have to amp that up. And so now you add in the fact that physically you're busting your behind defensively, especially harder than you ever have. And it takes a lot of mental focus because you can't afford to have game plan slippage, so you're locked into what your job is. And now when you get that, glad we got those, but now when you get those open shots, Ramona, it was you? Hey, it's okay. Hey, that's a grand entrance. We glad you're here. Yeah, thank you. That's all right. We'll take it. But it's a shot that you're not used to because the pressure has increased, and so to be able to experience being in big games, to be able to experience that type of pressure, and finding success and winning gives you more confidence the next time out, and that's why I tell our guys, hey, I don't just let it fly. Because at the end of the day, we're gaining invaluable experience on all different types of level while winning that is hard to duplicate during the regular season.
Hey, Mike, kind of just alluded to it, but obviously the Warriors haven't been good on the road this year, but this core group, they've been a part of a lot of big-time road playoff wins. You've been a part of a lot of them. Is that something that you have to remind your team not to let up because they're here at home, or is it kind of gone without saying?
No, the importance of every game, whether it's here or it's on the road, is huge. And so, we don't try to, I guess, heighten the importance of a home game as opposed to an away game because we want to win every time we step on the floor. And we're trying to tell our guys or help our guys to as best we can to do it and do it all the time, again, no matter where we're playing.
Yeah, Coach Brendan Nunez, Kings Herald. Coming into the series, you mentioned the importance of physicality and pace, and then you shared after game 2 that you added poise to that list. Are those still your primary focuses going into today and the next games?
Yeah, we also talked about the possession game, because I thought, even in game 3, we would have given ourselves a chance to win if we would have been locked in on the possession game, to give up 19 offensive rebounds or whatever it is for 25 second chance points, having that many turnovers for 20-something seconds. And knowing that at the end of the game, Golden State shot 40% from the floor, you kick yourself in the behind because you didn't win the possession game. So I think we have to be physical on both sides of the ball. We have to play with great pace, not just in the full court, but in the half court. Too. We got to be poised because stuff's going to happen out there and we can't overreact to it. But at the end of the day, just like during the regular season, we have to win that possession game. And if we do, we'll at least give ourselves a legitimate chance to win the game.
Chris Peterman, Sacramento Bee. Mike, when they do something like switch Draymond onto De'Aaron, do you feel like you need to make a counter adjustment to do some things to get De'Aaron free from Draymond, or just what's your the way you think about matchups like that in as playoff series go?
No, I mean we play a lot of pick and roll. They've taken us out of our DHO game, but we made some adjustments to where we were able to get our guys a little bit more free coming off of Domus's DHOs in the last game, and we'll continue to try to find ways to play our DHO game by making adjustments. But at the end of the day, we're okay with Draymond, Garden Foxy, because we're playing a lot of pick and roll, and we feel he's got the green light. He knows he's got the green light. If he wants to attack without the pick and roll, great. But if he wants to utilize the pick and roll, he knows one's coming almost every single possession, and that's all you can do to try to free him up. You can play pick and roll with one guy first, and then play pick and roll with the big second to see if they switch what they're doing a lot of. But it's up to De'Aaron. We trust him to go make a play, no matter who's in front of him.
Mike Christovaris, Fox 40 Sports. You've talked about how the mental load is so much higher, or how much heightened it is in the playoffs. Right. How much higher does it get when you're in Game 5 and it's a best of 3 and the margins for error are razor thin?
Not just Game 5, but the further along you go, it heightens. Because trust me, if you make it to the Western Conference Finals, if you think there's a lot of eyes on you now, the eyes are going to multiply 20, 30, 40 times. The media mass is going to really increase, and everybody's going to be analyzing every part of your game and what you're doing off the floor and all that other stuff. So as you go along in a playoff series, especially if it's one that's competitive, as you go along in your playoff run, the deeper you get, it's the more heightened it's going to be. And it's easy to sit here and talk about it, which I will and have with our guys, but they just need to go through it. And not only go through it, but sometimes experience the downs of not getting it done so that it impacts you in a way that makes you want to work harder for the next year, and or experiences the successes so that at the end of the day, you have that belief and that confidence that, okay, you know what, I can do this, but I know I have to play here while believing I can get it done. And if I do, I can show that I can get it done.
Mike, I just wonder, going back to De'Aaron, how impressed you are with his want to here in this situation. He's obviously hurting, and Domas has done this all year with his thumb. To have your top two guys just come out and say, no, I'm not sitting, I'm going to play. How do you feel about that, and what is that? Maybe what message does that send to the rest of the locker room?
No, it sends a big message. You want your guys to have not just a physical toughness, but a mental toughness, and it's great if it starts from your leadership and trickles down. And people forget that Keegan got banged up and continued to play too. And I'm sure he probably looked at Domus back then, and maybe some of the other guys that might have been hurt at certain times and said, "No, tape it up. I'm gonna continue to go." You need that because at this time of the year, maybe not to that extent, but this time of the year, everybody's banged up, and the further along you go in the playoffs, that's the more guys that you'll have that are a little bit beat up. Thank you, guys.
Hi, Steve Kerr, Golden State Warriors.
Series all tied up at 2 games apiece, and the series often swing on Game 5. How important is tonight trying to get a win on the road?
I mean, every game's important, and we always try to put extra importance on different games based on circumstance, and honestly, none of that matters to us. What it matters to the narrative, to the broadcast. You can throw on all the stats, and whoever wins Game 5 wins whatever percentage of the time, and none of that matters to us. What matters to us is taking care of the ball and rebounding, because we didn't do that the first 2 games of the series here in this building, and if we do that, we like our chances, and that's what we're focused on.
Steve, you talked after the game the other day about how you regretted not telling the players that you were out of timeouts. As you watch the video or sort of think back on that game, would that affect going forward if you had 1 timeout left, challenging a call? Do you try not to challenge a call when you only have 1 timeout left, or how do you sort of view that in light of what happened the other day?
Yeah, I mean, I knew we only had 1 left, and I felt good about the challenge. And in that case, if you win the challenge, you get it back. I also was conscious of our guys, getting them a little bit of rest during the fourth quarter a couple of times. That's why I took the next to last one at the 4-minute mark. I think looking back, if it's a charge block or an illegal screen, sometimes even if it looks good, they're not going to overturn that one. So if I had to revisit it, I'd say probably a poor decision based on the nature of the call itself and what's likely to be overturned and what's not.
Yeah, historically as the series go on, minute totals go up from the main guys, but obviously this series now it's 1 day off between the next.
Yeah.
How does the condensed schedule, play into how high you might go with your main guys minute wise?
Well, I mean, it's on my mind. I would love to, keep Steph around 38. It'd be great to get him 5 minutes, each half. So we'll try to do that, but it will be based on how the game plays out. I'm not as worried about, Draymond and Loon are both kind of where they'll probably be, 32. In that range, and Clay's capable of playing heavy minutes, so is Wiggs. So it's not a huge concern, but ideally I'd get guys a little bit more rest.
Matt George, ABC 10. Steve, I was curious your assessment of Keegan Murray. He finally had a bit of a great breakout game in Game 4. And how much do you, over the course of a series, make adjustments for individuals based off of good games versus just keep doing what you're doing?
Yeah, I thought we let him off the hook a little bit in Game 4. We let him get free a couple times, knowing that he's a priority, and he took advantage of it. And then he did a good job. I think he got an offensive putback and got another hoop on an offensive rebound where he drove the lane and got a pull up. So he played well, but that's kind of what you expect. At some point, I'm sure Herter will have a good game. Whether it's tonight or maybe 3 straight good games. I mean, these guys are great players, and you just don't go a whole series with a guy just holding someone down. But you have to take care of the basics. That's the main thing. And I didn't think we took care of the basics the other night with Murray.
Steve, hi, Ramona Shelburne, ESPN. This team is such a veteran team. You guys have been in so many playoff battles before. Is it almost like that veteran confidence at the end of the games? Maybe that can almost be a little too overconfident. Do you see some of that? I know Draymond was talking with Bob afterwards. The timeout with Steph, some of the plays that are sort of uncharacteristic of you guys, but maybe that's because you're so veteran.
I don't know. I wish I had a good answer for you, but our team has played in a million big games. They're confident. I don't think they're overconfident. I think that play, the one you mentioned, was more just a team-wide failure in terms of me not informing the guys, and then not not executing in that set of circumstances. Draymond talked about it. He's got to be the trailer. We can't run everybody into the front court. Somebody's got to stay in the back court. So, I mean, you watch these games, everybody makes mistakes and down the stretch. And whether it's a young team or a veteran team, it's a game of mistakes. You just try to limit them as much as you can.
Hey, Steve, is Gary still trending upwards coming off the illness?
Yeah, he's good to go.
Steve, James Ham, ESPN 1320. When you look at the way Wiggins, like coming out of after missing 25 games, he's been really impressive. But are you seeing him getting stronger and stronger as the series goes on? And how positive is that for you guys?
Yeah, I just think he's getting his legs underneath him, his conditioning. He's compared to where he was going into Game 1 when he hadn't played in 10 weeks. Pretty remarkable how quickly he's gotten up to speed. So he's playing pretty big minutes. He's playing great defense. His offense is coming around, so Wiggs is in a good spot.
Hey, Steve, over here real quick. Draymond obviously was willing to come off the bench last game, but do you still have the conversations with Jordan as far as starting or coming off the bench? And was there a conversation at halftime in the last game for him?
No, there was a halftime adjustment, and you don't have much time, and at that point you just go in and tell the team what you're going to do, and then you just move forward. And then the next day at practice, you make your decision as far as who you're going to start, and that's where you have those conversations, but not in the game.
Are you in a sharing mood tonight as far as?
Never.
Perfect.
For the rest of my career, I'm no more sharing.
I don't know if I ever asked you. Do you have a philosophy on the challenge? Do you try to keep it to the fourth? If it's a 3-point, do you you're more aggressive about it? Do you have just kind of a general idea? If you're getting to the end of the fourth, do you, let's go ahead and do it because I want to make sure I do use it? Just have a working theory on how you use it?
It's more of a general rule, and it involves the impact on the timeout. It involves, are you taking away a 3-point shot? Maybe a guy gets fouled on a 3 and you're going to take away 3 free throws versus do you just take away, one possession? Definitely hold off on anything like that. A possession, jump ball type thing. But 3 points is 3 points. So if it's clear cut and you can save 3 points in the first quarter, you got to do it.
Hi, Steve. Jason Anderson, Sacramento Bee. De'Aaron's going to play with the fracture in his finger. Just wonder if I don't know, your thoughts on that decision. Does it surprise you at all that he's going to go? And does it affect anything in terms of your planning, how they might look, how they might do things differently?
No, it doesn't. We fully expected him to play, and so our preparation has been the same. And I'm not surprised he's playing. He's a gamer, and it's tough to keep these guys out of a playoff game. This is what they train for, and they've dreamt of, and it's our players would have been the same way. So as long as one of our guys is cleared, I know they're always going to play in a similar circumstance. Thanks.